So hello guys, welcome to issue 7 and 8 of Warhammer Stormbringer. Now you may be wondering why I'm doing 2 issues. Now that I've started to get into this, excuse me, I have noticed a bit of a theme amongst other situations with myself. Now normally what happens, unless they put paints into the mix, we seem to do 1 issue of Stormcast and 1 issue of Oryx, and of course they're using different paints. Sometimes we get lots of models, sometimes we don't get many. That's not a problem. Also, not only am I behind because I started this collection late, I'm also even further behind because I didn't YouTube it right from the beginning. Now, first thing I've done is I've had a word with Harshette and I've said, can I accelerate my collection? So perhaps buy a monthly pack every 2 weeks until I catch up. So on the one hand, I want to catch up, but also because of the way that my work happens, I can't go too far up to date. So I need to keep maybe 4 weeks behind the current issue, probably at best. This is because when I go to London for 3 weeks. Then I come back for 1 week's holiday. Now when I'm on holiday I can film for 6 days. Then I go back to London, can't do any filming. Then I'm back at Scotland for 3 weeks. Now during that 3 weeks in Scotland, I can do some filming, but I am still working 5 days a week, so maybe only pick up 1 or 2 issues a week. But I do need to do some catch up. Or as I film this, to give you an idea of how far ahead I've tried to get myself, it is currently the 8th of August when I'm filming this. This particular issue isn't due to be released until the 10th of October. When issue 34 is due to be released tomorrow. So I am a good 27 issues behind. But that's fine. We'll see what we can do. This isn't really a time limited thing. I also want to start, I'll have a look at the next issues. But also, every week I tell you what's coming in the next 2 issues. Why not just do the 2 issues, then tell you what's coming in the next 2 issues? That's got to be better, hasn't it? And then one other change as well, guys, that I want to do that isn't going to be so applicable to this issue. But when we get large units of, say, 5 or 10, I'm only going to paint a couple of models from each unit. That's going to do 2 things. First of all, they're all the same. Obviously I'll pick out the models of interest, but do you need to watch me paint the same thing over and over? And secondly, I have a friend who has a daughter who is very into art, and she's interested in painting these figures. So what I'm going to do is, when I get units of figures, I'm going to save some back for her. If she hasn't painted them within a certain length of time, then I'll just paint them myself. Also, I can use them for doing different things with, such as airbrushing, anything else that I want to play with. With that aside, that has taken up nearly 5 minutes of intro. Let's get on with issues 7 and 8, and I'm probably going to organise this on the fly. We'll see how we're going to cope with the 2 magazines. So I'll see you in a moment. So hi guys, welcome to issue 7 and 8. I have in front of me the magazine. I have decided, because it's a new pack, I'm going to start with a fresh clean tile. This is the old one that's currently being cleaned, and then hopefully that will be cleaned before the end of the next pack, and then this one will go in for cleaning, and so on and so forth. So issue 7 comes with no figures whatsoever, but it does come with 2 paints. Now this is a terrible colour. This is base Corax white. Now when I first received this pack, I went, oh no, look at that. So I tried to mix it and recover it, and as soon as I did that, I thought, oh no, I could have done that on stream so people can see what it's like, but actually it just demonstrates white splits very, very easily. I told you I've also got Catachan flesh. Now I said when I first introduced paints, I told you that when you first get a paint, shake it really, really, really well, and then each time you use it, give it a good shake. Even if it has just been shaken 5-10 minutes ago, always give it a good shake. This is a exaggerated but very good reason as to why. So give that a really good shake, and already you can see it's starting to go together. Turn it upside down, give it a good shake. Really, really good shake. Hopefully you see on my videos when I do start painting, even when I'm doing them on speeded up version, you still see me shaking that bottle, if only just for a little bit. So that's the 2 paints. Now what this most likely means, and has meant so far, each time you get a paint, you go back to the first model and you paint something with that colour. Now since we last got paints, we've had an even bigger collection of models. In fact, here they are in the box, so we can rest assured we're probably going to go back and go through all of these models, adding any white and any brown. The brown is basically a leather colour. When I last painted figures, they had quite sensible names for this, but now they don't make so much sense to me, so I have to relearn all the names. But this used to be bestial brown, maybe. I don't know. I don't suppose the colours have changed, but this used to be, I don't know, forest green or something like that. I think this has always been Cantor blue, and I think this is the last new paint that they actually released. Apparently this has real gold in it, whether that's true or not. Lead Belcher's always been Lead Belcher, but that's a good name for a dark silver. Right, so let's have a look at the magazines. So issue 7, we have more info on Age of Sigmar. We have, let's come back to this. No, let's go through it very quickly. So this is how to paint using the white and the flesh colour. You will also need Lead Belcher for some reason, and you will need your starter brush, and it's going to go through, and it's basically focusing on the Catachan flesh, which is basically anything leather, and then it's going to tell you to go through all of everything, so on and so forth. And there we have a little touch of white, which we're going to skip that one, I'll tell you why in a minute. Then we're going to go through more Lead Belcher, more Catachan flesh with the Stormcast Eternals, more Catachan. Then we're going to go on to the Corax white, and that's going to explain what pieces need to be done white, and then that will be that issue caught up. The basics talk about measuring, which reminds me, we actually got, I think it was this issue, we also got 16 wound markers. So if you play the game, you use these wound markers. This should have come in issue 1. So if, say for example, you have a figure that has, obviously if you have a figure that has 1 wound, as soon as he loses a wound, he's dead. So he's removed from the game. If something has more than 1 wound and he's wounded, he's still alive. So obviously you keep him on the field. What we used to do, all Warhammer games tend to come with these dice, and most players will buy their own fancy dice. I don't know if I've still got them. I've got some nice red dice in a really nice Khorne bag. By Khorne I mean Khorne. Khorne is a chaos god, the blood god. So I don't use these dice. So what I would do, instead of throwing these away, what I would do is I would actually place the dice, if this character is wounded, I would actually place the dice on or next to the figure of how many wounds he has left. So if he's got 3 wounds, if he had 4 wounds and he's got 3 left, I'll place that dice there. So, you know, if you go out and buy your own fancy dice, don't get rid of these. But, you know, you can get various wound markers. It's just really so that your opponent can see. There's a few things that they like to do so that your opponent doesn't... well, I say your opponent doesn't call you a cheat. To be honest with you, I found most games of Warhammer quite civilized. So, you know, if someone thinks you're cheating, they probably won't call you out. Anyway, more on the basics. And then another section on the playthrough. And then I won't show you the back cover because we don't need to, because that's going to tell you what's coming in the next 2 issues. So issue 8, we have more information on the Stormcast Eternals. This is the Lord Imperatant. This is the model that you get. I'm quite excited about this one. 1 sprue, 2 models, and that's what you're going to get. Oh, sorry, you get the brush, and I think the marker with this as well. So this is the brush that I've been looking forward to. This is a nice base brush. So what I'm going to start doing from this issue is I'll use this for just laying down the first coat, and then when I want something a bit more accurate, I'll use this start brush, because as you can see, it's a little bit of a different shape. And then as time goes on, we will get more brushes, and then we'll see what we do with the brushes. So you get your 2 bases with it, which I'm going to put there upside down, because you know what I'm like with the bases. So you get your Stormcast Eternal bits, how to build the Lord Imperatant and Griffhound, and then you've got a bit of information on your brush, how to hold it, large base brush, so that's something to look forward to. And then it's telling you, this one deals with techniques. So a lot of this I've explained to you. Take the paint, apply it to palette, wash the brush, add water, mix on palette, wash brush, dry your brush, and then thickness of paint. And then loading your brush, that tells you all about twisting the brush. And one thing I've not mentioned is you brace the way that you hold a model. Now the way you hold a model, it's always best if you have a 3-point contact. And the way you do that is you play, let me lift my camera up so you can see. So I place 2 arms on the table, I've got them planted firmly. Okay, so trust me that they're there. And then when you have your model, and your brush, you're holding your model in one hand so that you can access the part that you want to paint. You may find yourself changing the way you hold it. Try not to touch the model too much, but if you have to, you have to. You've then got your brush in your other hand, and then you want to join to bring in a contact. Now I tend to join these fingers together like that, and then I can then where possible I can hold the model, but I've always got that 3-point contact. If you can put something there to rest your hands on, even better. But you've got your elbows, and then what you do is you bring your arms in, so you've got a nice triangle, and you essentially, you know, these, like I say, these 4 fingers there are in contact with each other. They may be in contact with something else, but essentially that's my bridge. They kind of lock in together, and then I'm painting from there. And that's how you brace. If you paint like this, you have very little control, and this hand can wander all over the place. But by bracing, you can get really accurate. So if you find that you can't, so for example, you see there I've painted along that line, which I have no focus. And we get a focus. So you see there I've painted along that line. If you find that you can't paint along that line, maybe check, are you painting like this? Because I cannot paint a straight line like that. But if I do this, because what you can do, if you look at this hand, if you're holding it, you're moving that in a straight line. If you're doing it like that, it's quite wiggly. Okay guys, so that's how to brace. So that's something I just do it, and I forgot to tell you guys. We also have, sorry, I might have forgotten to tell you about this. This is a quick, cheap range ruler. Some people use tape measures. Now, what's the measure for? So all figures have a movement value. So this may want to move, say, 4 inches. So you use your range ruler, place it by the side, and then 4 inches is there. That's exactly 4 inches. We used to have a funny little house rule. Sometimes people use this. Let's bring in a Stormcast. So let's say you want to charge him. So you want to go up to him and you want to fight. Basically, you can only fight if you're in base-to-base contact. That is too far away. You can't fight. That's perfect. So what you want to do is you want to move in, and then you want to attack him. But he has a movement of, let's say, right. So there let's say he has 6 inches movement. So what you do is you go, ooh, can I charge him? Yes, I can. We used to have a house rule, and some people disagree with this. You cannot measure until you've declared that you want to move. So I would have to work out in my head, is that 6 inches? So I'm going to move it to about there. So I want to attack him, because I believe the person whose movement phase it is attacks first. And obviously there's a bit of initiative with attacking first. So if he hits me first, I might be dead before I can attack back. So I want to jump in and attack him. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, right, he's got 6 inches movement. So I've declared that I'm going to move. Now I've declared I move, I have to move. So, oh, that was a good setup. So I moved him to there. Oh no, I can't attack him. So now in my opponent's phase, he's going to look at that and he's going to go, yeah, I'm going to move in. He then gets the first attack, which is giving me a big disadvantage. But most places say you are allowed to measure. You know, what do you think is fairer, guys? Do you think you should not be able to measure or measure? Right, so then it goes on about applying paint, which we've seen this virtually every issue. And then it goes through the instructions for painting the Lord Imperatant. So we go through the white, we go through the lead belcher, we go through the Cantor blue. Do we not go gold first? Yeah, we go gold and white. Then we go more blue, then Catachan flesh, and then Retributor armor. Now notice that he's gone Retributor armor first and last. And the reason for that, I believe, will be, you can see that when you go white, you're gonna go quite messy. That Retributor armor is more of an accurate paint. So I'm going to take, oh sorry, then we've got more on the basics, as we always do. and then we've got a playthrough example. So there's another little game you can play, and then obviously on the end you have the conditions for a win for the Krill Boys and a condition for the win on the Stormcast, and it's a draw if time has run out, both sides are forced to withdraw before they suffer further losses. Both of you have fought well. Why not try playing through the battle again to decide the final winner? Seems to be coming up every issue. And then issues 9 and 10 looks really good. So we've got the Swamp Kala Shaman. Shaman is a wizard. So one figure there, well, two figures. And then issue 10, I don't know if I want to try and pronounce that. Zandia's Truth Seekers. So there they are. So we'll probably paint all of those in the next issue. Right, guys, so what I'm going to do now is I will let me just check these. Guide 6, because I'm going to be separating these and I want to make sure that I can get them back in the correct order. Yes, I can. Right, so I'm going to take a little cut because I'm doing 2 issues at once. I want to decide what order I'm going to paint them in. So I apologize if you're following this only doing the 1 issue. It's all going to be a little bit out of whack, and then when you come to do issue 8 you're going to have to watch again and work the order out. But I think this is going to be the best way for me to do it. Okay, so that's my magazine sorted out, and the only thing that I've got left is my paint guides. Now I won't be following them in this order. What I'm going to do is I will start with issue 5. Sorry, I don't even know what issues we're on. 8. So I'll build this and then I'll start to paint him. So you see there that I need to start off with Retributor armor, then I'll go back and I'll see anything else that needs Retributor armor, if that is done in that order, which I'm not sure it will be. Yeah, I might need to do, yeah, might need to think about this one. So we're kind of right, let's start with building it. Now this looks like it's going to be a push fit connection, which is going to be quite handy. I think it comes in 12 parts with 3 parts for the hound. I'm not going to assemble all of it. I'm going to need to keep this in possibly in sub-assemblies, things like this. I want to be able to get to the back of that. So I'll crack on with this and we'll see how we get on. So there we go, guys. Two very, very nice models, but very tricky to put together and a little bit gappy in places. Again, this emphasizes why I'm not particularly loving push fits. That one gets away with it, I think. No, see, that's cloak. So, you know, maybe cut the tabs off, glue them together. But that's kind of taking it to an advanced level. This has a great big seam line right up the middle of it, which is ended up as a gap. Where they placed the connection point with the sprue there was really, really tricky, and in fact I still haven't got it. So one thing I'm okay with, sometimes you get mould lines and they go straight up the axe. And there was a line straight up the axe. That's not a problem, because all you do is a couple of little rubs. If they're going to do a mould line, I'd rather it was on a straight area, and then you can just file it. Right, so while I was doing that, I was having a think, and I will be painting these in order for the pure reason that we're going to start with the flesh, and then we're going to move on to lead belcher, more flesh. So when we start doing the Stormcast flesh, we can go back to the Oryx and we can do the second coat on that if it needs it. And then once we hit the white, we'll then jump forwards. We'll jump forwards and we'll do the Lord Imperatant. And then we'll go back. Oh, we got, yeah. Then we'll need to go white, lead belcher, Cantor blue, Catachan flesh. So we'll go back and do the Stormcast. But yeah, we'll just do that as it comes. So what we need to do now, this is going to be the big one. I will do this speed up. I've got a spare head, by the way. You have a choice of doing a mask or no mask. I decided to do a mask because then I've got to paint his face. Right, so the first one we're going to do is the flesh colour, and we've got to go through every single one of these models, and we've just got to pick up all the details. Now there should be a, there we go, we have an end result picture, so we can use this as a guide, and that will tell us what to paint and where. So I'll get on painting that using the guide, and obviously you'll see me mixing the paint. I've been mixing it actually. Every now and again I pick it up and I give it a good shake. So yeah, I'll crack on with that. Okay, so I've done all the brown. I haven't done them on every single model. I've just done enough just to show you. I've also made a bit of a discovery. So obviously when we were putting these Stormcasts together, obviously you pick the correct number, but I didn't realise these are actually the same. So it doesn't matter if I get these muddled up. But in order to do that little strap, I've had to take that off. So I think I should have done, no, they're gold stuffs, I believe. Yes. Right. So the parts that I've done in brown, you've got this model. Obviously she looks daft now because her face is quite clearly gold, but that's okay, we'll paint over that. So she's got brown hair. All of them have little leather straps that hold their breastplates on. But this one, that's the only gold we need. These ones, they just have a little touch of gold, brown, just on the breastplate, and like I say, the leather strap. This one has a brown orb and some straps there. These, I've done 2 of these from this unit. You basically do all of the spears. They're made from wood, and they're wearing leather. Not all of them are as covered up as others. This one, he's got quite a bit of leather given the size of him. This focus is killing me. Then we've got this one. The whole unit, none of them have got anything leathery on, I don't think. So you just need to do the totem pole in brown. And then we have this model, which seems to have quite a lot of leather. And it may need a touch up later on. One thing I also notice is as you start to paint, you start to notice things that you miss. So there's a little bit in there. Can you see just underneath that piece of armour? That looks like a piece of armour as well. But that's fine. It's quite common to go backwards and forwards between colours. Some areas I've gone a little bit too heavy and I've actually spilt over. That one's going to have to be done again because I've missed the brown on the sides there. But other areas, you paint the leather. I haven't done on this one, but you paint the leather and you might accidentally get it on the skin. So then you need to go back with the skin. So that's those done. So I will try to use those models where I can. In fact, I'll use these ones as well. These haven't got any leather on them at all. And I'll just stick myself to just a few models. Obviously later issues, because we've got a new paint, it's means we've got to do a lot of painting. Lead belcher. We should have done lead belcher. I should have done those little class in lead belcher, but I believe we've got to go back to doing lead belcher later on. And the next colour that we need will be the Corax white, which we are going to need mainly, possibly even exclusively for the Stormcast, but we will also need them for our new model that comes in issue 8, 7. Do you know, I can't remember what issue we're on. Yeah, so let's get on with some white. We've got a lot to do with the white. These guys have got designs on their shoulder pads. So they need to be picked out. All these... Oh, I just dropped a shield on the floor. So yeah, lots of little detail to be picked out with white. And then we've got to do this. Do we do the base? No, we do this. There's another base somewhere. Where's that base gone? Paint the stones and the base. That's interesting. I can't find the base with... It's not that one. There it is. There it is. So this base has got to be painted white. So you see there's a lot of gold on there. And then we will move on to our new model, and that needs to be painted white on the base. He needs to be done in gold, and our little hound needs to be done with white. But the good thing about that is that we can use this one. So this will be a really good test, guys, because we are going to be painting a weak colour white over a strong colour blue, and we'll see how many coats it takes to cover that. The other thing, see, here's the problem with white. White is very unique. If you were to paint white straight out of the pot, in most cases it will go chalky. So you get this very uneven finish, and it looks absolutely terrible. It's something that I had a problem with as a kid doing aircraft models. I would paint white and it would just come out awful. Now there's a very, very simple solution to that, which we're doing with all of our paints anyway, and that is to thin the paint. But with white, I thin slightly more than normal. However, as you well know, the more you thin a paint, the less coverage it gives you, which means you've got to apply more coats. Now white is a very weak colour anyway, and white tends to need more coats anyway. So I've not used this particular white, but on a normal white, if you need 2 to 3 coats of any normal colour, I would expect to be perhaps to be using 4 or 5 coats of white. So you can see the issue we've got, but because we're thinning it more as well, it might even need a 6th coat. So there's our challenge, guys. So yes, so as I said, then the next colour is going to be I've actually forgotten, lead belcher. So we'll get on doing the lead belching, and then we will come back to it. So lead belcher and then white. In fact, I'll do the lead belcher bits and then I'll do the white bits. So see you in a moment, guys. Okay, so that's the white done on some of the models. I'm going to declare, I've actually just remembered something. Citadel have cheated. If you look at this Corax white, it's actually not white. It's a very light grey. And that's a trick that I just remembered. If you want to paint from black to white, or a colour to white, but black to white is the extreme, you don't go white onto the black. What you do is you add, say for example, a medium grey, and that grey cuts a lot of that black out. Then you go a lighter grey and you keep going until you get to the white. That's what they've done here. It's ended up having really good results. However, because I'm doing two magazines together, it's made it very difficult because you need to go forwards and backwards with the colours. So for example, I've just painted the white. Now this, he needs a white face, but it has to be done in gold first. Now we will be doing gold, but obviously I've done the white, I've finished with the white now. I'm going to go on to a different colour and back, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to guarantee that I'm doing two colours, two magazines every issue. I'm going to have a look. I think when there is a new paint introduced, it's a definite no for doing two issues. If we get two models, we can always have a look at them. The other thing that I've done as well is on some of these I've really cocked the colour up, or I've gone over onto the skin, so I'm going to have to go back anyway. I won't show cleanups on camera. Like here's a really good example. So I've actually missed some of the cloth, and you'll notice that while you're painting you think, oh yeah, I've got everything, and then all of a sudden you notice that you've missed a bit, so you've got to go back in and touch up. Some of these I've accidentally touched on the skin. There you go, there's a big bit I've missed there. Yeah, and you go backwards and forwards. So all you can really do is when you apply the colour, if you are absolutely dead happy with it, you put it in a pile, say over there. If you think you're going to need touch-ups, you put them in another pile. And when you finish painting, you then go back through the reject pile, and then you do another check. But yeah, so I'm gonna bodge on with this magazine as best I can. The cloak I'm quite happy with. When I saw that was a two-colour cloak, I kind of died inside, but actually I got on with it okay. And one thing I'm especially pleased with is the lightning on that shield. It's come out quite well. I've got to go on the inside with the gold, and there will be a trick. I'm absolutely confident that they're going to give us some kind of blue shade, and what we'll do is we'll apply the shade, and that will then cover up, that will neaten up that. It's almost like magic. I know we've got Null Oil coming, which is a black wash, but yeah, so I'm going to plod on, guys. I'm going to make like these are all perfect, and the next color that we need to be doing is I believe it's Lead Belcher. I'm sure it's Lead Belcher. Catachan Flesh, Lead Belcher, Corax White, and white. No, it's actually this dude now. So what I'll do is I'm going to ignore these. These are pretty much done. Obviously I haven't done all of them because I don't want to show you all because it gets quite boring. But we now are actually officially on this one. So I will do this exactly as per the magazine. Obviously I've done this guy already. I forgot to do the base. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'll tell you what, I will take him off. Oh, that reminds me, there was one other thing as well. One of these figures, here we go. This guy stands on this brickwork, and I found that really difficult to get off, so I put him back on, but I've not pushed him right on. There we go. So just in case I need to take him off again. So this guy, I'm going to do the gold. I should have done the white on the base. I totally missed that. I'm going to do the gold first. I think I'll just do the gold. I'll do it speeded up like I always do. And then I'll just go straight into the white. And then I'll touch up that white. I'll do the white bit there. And then obviously I'll do the second coat of gold. One thing that's absolutely brilliant, this base brush, it doesn't look much bigger than the starter brush. But I tell you what, guys, it makes a hell of a difference. And it's the kind of brush that you just slap it all on. Just get it in there, get it all covered, and it's fantastic. So guys, I'm going to do the gold and the white. See if there's any other gold bits that I need to do. See, again, once we do this gold, we then need to do more white, but we need to do the gold first, and then we go lead belcher, Cantor blue, and then the flesh colour, and then more retributor armour at the end. So yeah, guys, I'll just go into it and we'll get it done. Okay, so I've done all of that. The gold's gone on very, very nice. I did leave that patch there, I will be honest with you. I know that's going to be brown. So I'm going to just do these two models, and I'll do the rest off camera. There's not going to be anything to be done to the rest of them that I haven't already done on this. I'll do a nice big tidy up session, and obviously future videos I'll just make sure I can do them. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be using Corax white, and we're going to be doing mainly the cloak and the head. That's quite interesting that he's obviously got a mask on. Then we'll do lead belcher, which is going to be mainly the weapons and the armor. Then we're going to go Cantar blue, which is going to be mainly the cloak, and some bits of little bits and bobs. Then we'll go the Catachan flesh, which is going to be feathery bits, and then we'll finish off with Retributor armor just to get those little bits done, and we should hopefully end up with something that looks something like that. Okay guys, so you'll see which color I'm on, because what I'll do is I'll pick the colors up. Remember, white, silver, blue, brown, gold. I'll pick them up, I'll do them on my palette. When I finish with the pot, it'll go over to the next side, and then I'll pick the next pot up. Okie dokie. Okay, so this is the little hound that's done. Quite happy with him. Remember, this is only base coats. We haven't done layers and shading yet, but that's quite a good finish. The only issue I had, oh no, it's on this one. So this is the main figure, and this one I am actually really pleased with. Two problems I had. One is that I accidentally snapped his head off by the connecting point. So I did glue that back in, but I just looked at it. I looked at what I needed to do. There's a little bit of cleanup there needed. That's quite scruffy. That's not a problem. I can do that. But it's me saying I can do it at any time. And here I am picking up the brush while I'm talking to you. But yeah, I think he's turned out really well. I'm really happy with that. I haven't done, how do I put this? I could do better, but I've just done it as per the magazine. So I've just slapped the base coats on, but yeah, I pulled them apart and done sub-assemblies. Now the base, had I known that we'd be painting that soil like that, I would actually have done the brown first and then done the red, the white afterwards, because I found it quite hard to get into those little bits without accidentally painting on the white, whereas I could paint that white without touching the brown. Sorry, I was totally off camera there. But I really like that model. I'm rather happy with that. Lots more work to go, but yeah, that's that done. So obviously I've got to do catch up on all these other models and just pick up where the browns and the white needs to be done. These two figures are ready. So as for next week, I don't know how many issues I'm going to do, because I'll have a look at the magazine first. But this is the end of this one. Pretty long issue, I do apologise. I'll get myself more organised for the next issue. So yes, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in another issue.